Directed by George Lucas and Olivia Wilde respectively, American Graffiti and Booksmart each provide a captivating lens into adolescence in traditional coming-of-age story arcs. Both films are based in Southern California and depict related overall settings, as each set of characters is preparing to graduate high school and move on to new horizons. In the midst of this notoriously hectic time, they relish in an opportunity to experience a night of unrestricted and carefree fun before the harsh reality of real life sets in. This dichotomy is slightly more emphasized in American Graffiti, as it follows the teens' very last night of summer vacation before moving on to college or elsewhere. Remarkably, the entire plot of American Graffiti nearly takes place over the course of a single night. Booksmart follows a more traditional structure and regularly cuts from place to place, but like American Graffiti, the story focuses largely on one night where, quote, the girls try to cram 4 years of fun into one night, as they let loose in similar fashion to their 1960s counterparts.
Oh. Later.
To provide a brief plot synopsis of each film, Grid Molly Jr. of IMDb describes American Graffiti as, quote, taking place in what feels like real time, between one evening and sunup of the next morning in California, 1962. As a group of friends spend one last night as summer vacation ends, each of them deal with some sort of dilemma, whether major, like doubts about leaving home for college, or minor, like getting a date with a cute girl. Everything takes place against backdrops such as a burger drive-in, a high school dance, a downtown cruising strip, or other places, all of which have a totally authentic feel for the place and time. By sunup next morning, everyone has their issues sorted out, and we are left knowing what happens to each of them in the months and years to come. End quote. In Booksmart, academic overachievers Amy and Molly thought keeping their focus locked on studies gave them a leg up on their high school peers. But on the eve of their graduation, the best friends suddenly realized that they may have missed out on the special moments of their teenage years. Determined to make up for lost time, they decide to go out for a change and experience an action-packed and chaotic night.
Wait, what did you say? What did you say?
Quick, hang a right.
What? Why?
Steven, cut over to G Street. I just saw a vision.
Although their production dates were decades apart, the intriguing situation of American youth on the verge of facing real life for the first time remains just as poignant then as it is now. There is a shared attempt to capture the essence of American teenage life and the common feelings that members of this population are faced with. Through their experiences, the characters all follow a similar progression to many coming-of-age films, by finishing the story with increased self-awareness and direction than at the beginning. In American Graffiti, for example, main characters Steve Bolander and Kurt Henderson are introduced to viewers with clear intentions for their post-high school lives. Steve is set on college, while Kurt can't seem to make up his mind. By the end of the night, however, it's Kurt who is seen boarding a flight away to school, while Steve opts to stay put in Modesto. Similarly, Amy and Molly in Booksmart had always been more concerned with studies than fun. Despite a lifetime of training to solidify school as priority number one, a taste of adventure was all it took to flip their views upside down. By the film's conclusion, the friends left with a more developed understanding of balancing work and play. These spontaneous changes of direction exhibited across both films serve as an intentional representation of youth's impulsiveness and naivety.
Hey, why don't we go get your Jeep?
What? What are you talking about?
You know, your Jeep, the one you sold the hunting ponies for. The one with a four-wheel drive.
Hey, you sure you got enough slack?
Yeah, no sweat. Let's get out of here.
Come on, Terry. Terry.
Stand by for justice!
Additionally, both Lucas and Wilde place the scoring of their films at the forefront, using popular and lively music of their time periods to convey an enthusiastic and upbeat vibe. This is especially true for American Graffiti, whose soundtrack of iconic 60s tracks is consistently praised as one of the greatest movie collections of all time.
Come on, what?
Oh, Stephen, please smile.
Put attention. You think I care if you go off? You think I'm gonna crack up or something? Boy, are you conceited.
I don't know why I ever asked you out in the first place.
You didn't.
While both plots share similarities both in their framework and overall story, the unique context of their productions doesn't fail to create major disparities between them. For one, American Graffiti doesn't attempt to draw much deeper meaning or make connections to larger global issues. George Lucas was aiming to glamorize a lost era for many Americans and chose not to risk the film's feel-good ambiance through a potential controversy. Booksmart, on the other hand, takes a much more vocal and involved approach. By placing modern issues, such as equal rights for LGBTQ individuals, minority individuals, and racial disparities in a central role, Wilde uses her film as a vessel to convey strongly progressive messages. Overall, both American Graffiti and Booksmart are compelling examples of the coming-of-age genre that provide audiences with a nostalgic look at what it's like to be young. Although George Lucas and Olivia Wilde take varying approaches in their direction and motives, the final results are remarkably similar, both in structure and in spirit.
I hate to leave you, but I really must say, oh, good night, sweetheart, good night. Good night, sweetheart, well, it's time to go. Good night, sweetheart, well, it's time to go. I hate to leave you, I really must say.